Sounds good.
So, good evening, everybody.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Hello. We got 5 people on the chat. Well, actually 4, because I'm on my cell phone. I like to have like myself on there, and then to see that everything's going. So we have 4 people watching us today right now. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to. Oh, it's the missus. Hello, Mrs.
Hello.
the Icky. So good that you came. Nice to meet you. Well, you know me now. And I hope one day to meet you too.
Yeah, they're downstairs watching.
That's awesome. You know what? My dream, Rick, one day is for people to show up at my storytelling gigs and put me on the TV, you know, kind of like Friday Night Tights, saying,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to listen to a story.
There you go.
So, and of course, this hello says to you. There you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And tonight we have DT, who is so supportive of everything. Hey, TD, thank you so much
buddy.
for coming.
Thanks for being.
So I would like to all welcome you to our show after the weekend, our movie review, where 2 nerds, geeks, just talk
Watch
about
the movie
that
over the weekend.
Yeah, we watch a movie over the weekend and then we talk about it. And tonight,
right.
As also Dreaming Tabitha is here.
Hello, Tabitha. Nice to see you.
That last night was so funny over at Inside the Booth. The chat just, you know, it blew. It was so fun. It's like the chat was like, we have the power. So.
Yeah, I think everybody was having fun with the theme of that movie.
Yeah, they were. So, yeah, well, tonight we have a nice, it's like a childhood movie, actually, for both of us.
Yeah.
You know?
80s classic.
And you know what? I think this is a really underrated movie.
Yeah, I agree, too.
Yeah.
But this was something that I feel like for a lot of kids, it was on TV, you know, in the 90s, or this was something that you rented when you went to the video store when they still had those things.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think for a lot of us, we didn't see it in the theater, but watching it at home growing up, it was big for a lot of us.
And you know, actually, I was thinking this is kind of like the movies that start off like really small, like The Labyrinth. Started off extremely small. It wasn't a blockbuster. It didn't really get good reviews at the time, but over the years, it started to create like almost a cult, you know. And they started to really value that movie because it is a good movie, you know. The casting's great. The cinematography, screenplay, even for the time, you know, it was actually incredible. You know, it's like, what was that? 80s. That was early 80s.
Yeah, that's 80s. That was, I want to say, I think same year or year before this movie. So 85, 86. That was another one too that just is from childhood watching it on video. It's another one I remember watching it with my cousins, quoting it, playing it out. So,
and it was a dark movie.
I feel the exact same way. Oh yeah, it is. I don't think we realized how dark it was too as kids.
Yeah. Because we don't actually, you know, realize that it is a dark movie. I mean, adults may know it, but kids, they just go with the flow because the storytelling was extremely well done.
Yeah. Well, and then just all the puppets and the music too. I mean, it's all those things that we like as kids.
Yeah. So yeah. So tonight's movie is a lovely classic. Oh!
We have a visitor real quick. Somebody wants to who's bringing me something to drink.
Oh, that's
Come
great.
Here. Get up. You don't have to crawl on the floor there, Spider-Man. Come over and say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for visiting me, Spider-Man.
You're welcome.
Are you excited to be here?
Yeah.
Are you gonna go downstairs and watch this with Mommy?
Also, I'm just a version of Spider-Man, but I'm little.
That's
You're
right.
little.
Yeah, I'm wearing
That's
a shirt right now.
Spider-Man was a teen. And I love Spider-Man. He was my favorite. So I'm really excited that he's there.
Thank you for the drink, Spider-Man. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Bye, buddy. He was dying to do that.
That's
Tell everybody
great.
he's been on YouTube now. Yeah, it's a big deal when you're little. But no, yeah, I'm excited to talk about this movie.
So I'm just going to share the screen so that people can see what we're going to be discussing. If it actually works, it'd be great.
Fingers crossed.
Now I don't know why it doesn't work. So let's see. Hopefully, maybe it will work. If not, then we'll just Google it and say, you know what, Navigator, Flight of the Navigator. That's it. That's the one. We are watching that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, fingers crossed.
It's
Oh,
gonna work.
It's gonna work. It's not gonna work. That's okay because I got another thing up my sleeve.
Okay. Well, while you're looking for that, how about I give the synopsis of the movie we're going to review? So, story about a 12-year-old boy named David Freeman. He's from Florida. He goes missing in 1978, only to reappear in 1986. 8 years that have passed. He hasn't aged. He has no memory of where he's been. His family, the doctors, police officers that have found him are all happy, surprised, and shocked by his return after being missing for so long. And at the same time, not too far away in Florida, NASA has discovered a spacecraft that has been entangled in power lines and also learned of David's unique story. Once David is at NASA, it's no coincidence that he connects with the alien craft and discovers that he is the ship's new navigator.
Excellent. So actually, this is pretty much a simple story.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very, very, It's basically a kid who gets kidnapped, comes back 8 years later, and wants to go home.
Yeah.
No?
Well, it's definitely a sci-fi movie, but it's technically a time travel movie too, which I never think of it like that because you don't really see that part in the film. But and it's also a very 80s plot, in my opinion.
It is, and there are some pretty cool things that are going to come up. So if you haven't seen the movie, I highly suggest you watch it. And just be aware that we are entering the spoiler alert part because we are going to talk about things about the movie that if you haven't seen it, beware. So
and so it looks like you threw up, that's the DVD cover. So usually if you go to the store, you want to find it or get it digitally online, that's most likely the cover you're going to see for it.
So actually they did several posters of the Flight of the Navigator. That was one of them. And the next one that I'm going to share is the one that they used for the theater. So that's extremely 80s.
Yeah. It and I'll bring this up later. It's very Michael Jackson to me. Like, it makes me think of Moonwalker. Just all like the technology in it and everything. And very kind of Epcot. If you ever got to go to Epcot in the 80s as a kid, this movie makes me think of that a lot too. And I just think it's from the style and design.
Well, they did. That is like the feel of the sci-fis at the moment. And as you can see, you can check out in the poster itself, you could see that there are several creatures. I don't know if that's going to come up. There it is. So for example, you got David here, who Joey Kramer, I think it was his name.
Yes,
and
he's our protagonist.
And you have several creatures that were puppets. Actually, there's two of them here. One shouldn't be there. It should be only one. And I really didn't get into it, but I think perhaps it was Jim Henson or Jim Henson's company, which was pretty nifty at the time. Did the puppets there? So
that I can't remember. You might be right on that. And I cannot think of the name of any of them at the moment. While looking at it, other than the one that is on his behind him on his left, that's the one that eats his hat, and I want to say that other one, doesn't it bite him? The one with the long neck.
No, he doesn't bite. But what he did was, if he did bite him, he would never let go.
That's right. He would never let go. And then on his knee, and then next to his right hand, there's two of them, and I want to call him a Pikmin, but I know that's not what the name of it is. I suddenly cannot think of what they called that thing, but that's the one that he really kind of bonds and connects with when he sees all the creatures for the first time.
No, see, that's
and spoilers, takes it home with him.
Yeah, he does take it home. But you see, that's what's brilliant about this movie, because in a lapse of an hour and a half, because that's how long it is. Nowadays, a movie that's an hour and a half would be a short film. You need at least 2 hours to establish a full arc. But what this does, what's brilliant about this movie is that when you only have 90 minutes and you establish a relationship, a bond, like the public establishes a bond with the characters and with the story. And you can complete the whole arc. You can see a development of the characters during those 90 minutes. So it was extremely well done, Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, it was. For a kid's movie, it's really, really good. Even watching it as an adult, I still love it. That could just be me romanticizing it because I loved it as much as a kid. But even today, it's still a really well-made movie.
Yes. No. And actually, it wasn't. It didn't have that much of a budget. I think it was 17 million.
No, it was 9 million. Was actually the budget, and the box office was 18.5 million. So whether that's worldwide or not, that I was not able to find out. But
and here's the third one actually that I wanted to share, and I downloaded it for a reason, but it never worked. So this is the one that you sent me, right there.
Yeah. So to my knowledge, that is the UK poster. I don't think that was the theatrical. I think that was home release. I really like that one a lot. I thought that was really cool. It makes it just compared to the US home release, as much as I grew up with that one, I like that one. There's just a lot more scale going on. It's a lot more futuristic. I think that's a really neat poster.
Yeah. Well, it gives me a feel like of Encounters of the Third Kind. You know,
Yeah.
like the part when the kid opens the window, the door, and all this light shines on him, and you can just see like the shadow of the kid who goes out with the aliens. That's when I saw this photo, I'm like, whoa, Close Encounters. That's pretty neat.
It definitely makes it feel more outer space with that one. And then, yes, thank you to my wife who mentioned that the alien is the Puckmarin. Puckmarin, it's close enough.
And so I actually like this close-up because you can actually see like the steps, and this is all. I thought it was a picture, but it's painted. It's hand painted.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So,
yeah, no, I think it's a really great poster.
Oopsie, sorry. Okay, so that was those things were actually neat. So, well, the story, like I said, I think it was just brilliant, and they actually changed it. From what I heard was that this is a Disney film. Well, Disney went at its best, which was the 80s and 90s, and then, something happened. But originally, this was an independent film that was given to several studios, and then actually, and Disney wasn't able to to acquire it yet. Didn't want to, basically, until afterwards when the production was rolling. And from what I heard, also it was a Norwegian production that liked the story, but obviously they changed some things. And then afterwards, during half of filming, Disney acquires the rights because they were looking for family fun sci-fi movies.
Yeah, they some of the production was done in Norway, and the company that was funding it had trying to think of the word to describe it, but essentially had a portion of their business in Norway too, and they had to film there, so that's why they did some scenes in there. But yeah, two of the kind of like financial backers had gone bankrupt during it. One went bankrupt, and the next one that bought it up then later that year went bankrupt as well. So one went bankrupt during production, and then one actually after it was all done. And then Disney ended up buying the distribution rights to it, but did not actually have any involvement in the actual production.
And then when you sent me also the documentary of Life After the Navigator, which is, I highly suggest you watch it, at least the first part, because it tells you like all the little bits and tidbits of things of the Navigator during filming, which was really interesting. So they filmed it in Fort Lauderdale because they couldn't find anywhere else to film it,
And a lot of it was filmed on Burt Reynolds' ranch that he has in that area. So like when they fly into Big Al's Gator Farm, that was actually all built on Burt Reynolds', I guess it's a cattle farm or ranch that he had out there. So that was kind of another reason too. Somebody had to know or was able to kind of get a nice chunk of land where they could film everything and not be bothered.
And then they had to move it to Norway again, but that was like at the end. That was like the last days. Something happened because they went bankrupt, and some of the portion of the money from this producer was in Norway. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but they had to move over there to finish filming. and then come back.
Yeah,
So,
and that might have been some like probably potentially like tax credits that they had involved with the country of Norway to film there. The scene when the ship gets out of NASA and they're cruising along over the landscape, that's all Norway. That isn't Florida. The first scene of that. Later, it is Florida, where it's a lot more greener, but it's very yellow and like kind of looks like a swamp with all the water, but it's not really like a swamp like in Florida, I guess, that you would expect. But yeah, that was all filmed for Norway.
okay.
Yep.
And well, I was really surprised with the director. Actually, I had to watch this movie probably 4 times just to get like all the little details. And one of the things the first thing that popped into my mind was like 1978, obviously. And when they were cruising back, like with the car, Mom, Dad, and David, "You're the One That I Want" was on the radio. And I mean, like I am a Grease, a musical fan, you know. And yesterday we were talking about musicals, no, Les Miserables, The Phantom of the Opera, The Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
Grease would be one of those of the genre. Of course, I didn't associate the director with the movie Grease. I thought, oh well, that's cool because it's like, yeah, it's the 1970s, and it was around that time that Grease came out, and what better way, you know, than to show that's putting it on the radio. And then when I saw the documentary, and I investigated like the director, the music.
Randall Kelser.
Yeah. He was the one who actually did Grease.
Yeah.
And it was 1978. And it was like, whoa, that's so cool. You know, it's like, it's those fine details that make really, I don't know, endearing.
Well,
you could say.
They're neater back then because we didn't have, you know, IMDb to look all this stuff up. I mean, unless you kind of either had maybe a specialty book that kind of cataloged those things, maybe, you know, average viewer is not going to be aware of that. But yep, you're right. He did Grease, and then there's also another nod to him in the movie too. David talks about he's watching TV at NASA, and he's like, "Where's Starsky and Hutch? I love that show." And she's like, "It went off the air." He had directed a few episodes of Starsky and Hutch too, so that was kind of his other nod in the movie. And then, if you are curious about some of his other things, his other bodies of work, he did the Blue Lagoon, he did Big Top Pee-wee, and Honey, I Blew Up the Baby.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, that wasn't a big. That movie didn't do well. It was actually.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say that was probably one of his bigger productions that he did, but yeah, that wasn't. I don't think as big of a hit as the first movie, but I do remember seeing that at the theater.
Now here's a question for trivia, because we have a few trivia questions here. Do you know who is the voice? Well, you probably do because you've looked up the movie. But to the audience out there, you know, TD, Avery, I put up your comment. I will put it up again to say,
Avery.
hey. Do you know the voice? Who did the voiceover for Max? Does anybody out there know who did the voice of Max? That blew my mind, actually. Any guesses in the chat? Right? Blow up that chat. Let's see. And no cheating. Everybody's going to start Googling it now.
Yeah.
We don't have anybody.
Well, if you watch the credits, the person who does the voice is Paul Mall.
Yes.
But that is a pseudonym for another famous person who just mentioned a film of theirs too.
Yeah.
So even give that hint, see if anybody has it.
And we have a winner.
Yeah.
It was Pee Wee Herman.
That's right.
Pee Wee Herman did the voice of Max, which was actually brilliant. Again.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting.
And he did not want to be credited as Pee Wee Herman because he didn't want to take away from the film. He didn't want people to go, "This is a Pee Wee Herman movie." Excuse me. So that's why he went with Paul Mall, and he's done that for a few other films too. He did that. He was in one or two of the Cheech and Chong movies, and I know at least one of those. That's what he's credited as.
And you know what's the amazing part is, like, he completely changes the character. You have the one part say "Asseyez-vous," no, sit down. You are the navigator. Very, very harsh, very robotic voiceovers. And then after the mind reading, he assumes a completely different character, which is amazing. You know, that's the plasticity, you could say, of the actor is incredible, you know, and you do relate to that character again. So I have a couple of shots here, a couple of videos that I have prepared just to.
Well, he starts to get a personality and almost slightly become human. You could kind of almost compare it to Arnold Schwarzenegger in T2, you know, as he kind of like learns and he spends time around humans, he becomes more human, and you know, he kind of does that with David as their relationship grows.
So I'm highlighting DT's comment. You know, yes, they are waiting, and I'm sorry, I have to show this person again just very quickly. Okay, yes, this is the Darth Vader, and his hat comes off. But Rick, the other night when I took off his helmet, you said, "No, he will die," and he heard you, and you were completely right, which is why he decided to put a double mask on. I told him not to, but he listens to Dr. Falsey. So now he's a double masker.
Dan's not in the chat, is he? I can only imagine what he would say right now.
I told him not to do it, but anyway. So yeah, this is I think this is one of the most nicest clips that I found, in which you can relate and you start to bond. You can see the bond that there is between the two characters. Now, I'm probably going to regret this because I have Darth Vader is into the cult. I'm sorry, he's on the dark side. I told him not to listen to Dr. Falsey, but he won't listen to me. I mean, he didn't even listen to Obi-Wan. How he's going to listen to me anyway? I have to get Luke to tell him to not to take off the other mask. So, like I said, I'm probably going to regret this because I've had this song stuck on my head probably 2 or 3 days, but it is a catchy song. So here we go. I hope you guys can hear it.
You're the one that I want. Really, there's no other kind of like mainstream music in it. There is the one new wave song that they actually made that just for the movie when they encounter the geeks in the red convertible.
Oh, yeah.
But the rest of it was composed by Alan Silvestri, and that's definitely somebody who's got a huge body of work.
Wow, yes.
So the year before he did this, he actually had scored Back to the Future, and he did all of the films. But he did the first two Predators. He did Overboard, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Forrest Gump, Night at the Museum, Captain America, the first one, and then he did Avengers 1, 3, and 4, plus Ready Player One, which has a lot of nods to Back to the Future. But this is really different than anything that he's kind of done. Other than that, of the ones I can remember too, like Overboard probably was a little bit kind of a more simpler like score for a movie, but it's real different, and it's not maybe as grandiose, but I like all like the synth sounds to it. It's very futuristic. It's very sci-fi. There's even a few kind of the what every 80s movie always had, the montage music moment. I think there's at least two of them where when he's escaping from his room to get to the ship, and then I think there's another one. I want to say along the way while they're in the ship, they kind of do another montage music moment. But no, I did, and you cannot find the soundtrack anywhere. I looked for it because after we watched it the first time, I'm like, I remember some of that. Like, I want that. I want to listen to that. But yeah, it's they definitely got a big name. Maybe not necessarily at the time, even though he had done Back to the Future, but still, it's a pretty big name attached to this movie.
It is. And it's amazing because I also, when you said we're going to talk about the music, I said, okay, well, on my second round, I'm gonna just focus on when they put the music. So I love it how he doesn't give like the main theme, of Flight of the Navigator, but he gives you like just little bits and pieces just to get you into the mood. And then when he is inside the Navigator and when he's inside the spaceship, he gives you the full theme. And it's actually a very, very, it's a very warm theme. It's very warm music. And when you listen to it and when he's flying with that main theme, sorry, I mean, that's how you say it, you get the sense of family and relationship that's behind the score, and that was pretty cool. How he built the momentum until he gave you what he thought was great for this film, or what he composed specifically for this film. So that's another part. And then afterwards, well, they talked about the ship. Oh, I do have I had the photos of the ship. No, I don't. I mean, I do, but the computer doesn't want to allow me to.
Okay. Were these some of the ones that I had sent you?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I have them in a nice little file, but I can't get it to work.
Okay.
So I loved how he had already thought that everything was going to be. It's not silver. They have another name for that. Like
Chrome?
The ship. Yeah, it was completely chrome. Yeah. And then this young designer just graduated from college. He gets hired, and he said, "Well, if you're going to do chrome, why don't you just use like everything is mercury?" And that I thought that, yeah, it's true. I mean, I recognized it, but I couldn't put my finger on it. You say, of course, this is how mercury works, and it is chrome and everything.
Well, it's funny too that they, and especially you kind of learn a little bit of this in that documentary that we mentioned, Life After Navigator. But this was the first time with CG that they ever did mirroring on it, on an object on film, and it's compared to today, yeah, it's crude, but still for its time, it's not that bad. It's pretty impressive, and in fact, that inspired James Cameron with the T-1000 in Terminator 2, especially to the effect, like even you would kind of almost describe the T-1000 as being like living mercury. And then just too, the ship itself is very iconic looking and unique, especially kind of like it's slightly got a little bit of a UFO look to it, but instead of just being flat and with like a bubble on it, it's got all those convex ridges on it, which I think are really, really neat. And then the fact too that how they just made it organic with the when the hatch would open, the steps would come out for it and then just go back into the ship. It was really, really neat. They also talk about how they did that effect in the movie. Some of it, is initially it's done through CGI, but then what they did for the side profiles, they essentially just took just metal rods that they would put into the ground and then they would bend them so that the camera couldn't see them in the placement. But what they kind of mention, and you kind of see it, there's when he stops at Big Al's Gator Farm. The family in the van shows up and they're like, look at the spaceship. They think it's a tourist trap thing. And they're pushing on the steps and they have like a little bit of give to them.
Yeah.
Which is really neat. And then even on the inside of the ship too, which I kind of, when I was little, I didn't really think about it, but first time, watching it again this past week, I kind of was thinking about how they did that, and they confirmed it in the doc too, where it was it was transparent the inside of the ship, but what they had is a mylar cover on it. So it's what when you go to buy like the nice balloons that they fill up the metal, almost like a foil. And so that gave it all the chrome reflective look into it. But when you ever see like Max access things, all it is they're just holding up fiber optics that are lit up in the background. They just hold it up to the side of the panel, and that's what they did for it. And it's a really neat effect that they were able to kind of create with something somewhat simple. I thought that was really, really neat.
And I have here, for those of you who didn't watch it, and I told you were going to have a spoiler alert, I have the part where he changes, the whole thing changes into a first class Mooniverse ship. So, and you can see like the mirroring right there. His brother, we're going to get that in a second. His brother was into that, and he was working, or he had worked on Tron before, and that was like, I think that was the first CGI movie,
Yeah.
So
and even the lines of the inside of the ship are kind of Tron-like. If you were to like highlight them blue or orange, they totally look like Tron, something out of Tron.
Exactly. What happened?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree, TD.
Yes.
Very much agree.
Yes, we both agree, because yes, they took risks. They did take risks with movies, and look at how it's paid off. I mean, we're talking about years. We're talking about 30 years of people enjoying it, and obviously, this is going to go on for generations, and that's what classics are. Classics are things, music, movies, literature that goes beyond time. And that's what's going to happen with these movies: The Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, The Flight of the Navigator, all within their personal genres. They're going to be enjoyed by so many people for ages to come. That was so brilliant, no?
Yeah.
So now talking about his brother, it was funny when I again I didn't make the connection when I saw the two names after I had watched the documentary. You said, oh my gosh, yeah, they're both brothers, and it was so fun to see that like they were working together, saying, hey, I like this, can you give it to me? And he was like, yeah, sure, let's do this. He takes risks. So
are you talking about the director?
The director and the CGI.
Oh, okay. I'm
They were
like
both
thinking. I
brothers.
was I was thinking of you were talking about Joey Kramer and then the guy who played his brother, and I'm like, I don't think they were brothers.
No, no, no
Had me
way.
confused for a moment.
No, no, no. The Kessler, I think it was, right? I
Yeah.
hope I'm not butchering. The Kessler brothers.
Yes.
Randall's brother had worked on Tron, and he was working with CGI, changing the tide thing into an America, and that's how he wanted like the ship.
Yeah.
So that was it was groundbreaking for their time. Actually, it was extremely awesome. It was awesome.
Definitely. Now, it's an old rumor now, which I almost go at this point. I don't think that they would do it. But there was talks about 8 years ago that they were going to remake this movie, but I don't remember ever hearing anything about casting or anything. It was just something that they're going to do a remake of it.
Kind of like Princess Bride. There's a rumor going on.
Yeah, and with the way that they do that stuff most of the time, it never works out. So I'm glad that they haven't. Then again, even if they did and it was bad, it still wouldn't ruin this film.
Uh-huh.
Though
It's
I think if they were to make it today, probably the best person that could play Max would be Bill Hader.
Okay.
For voicing it, just because he can do all those different impressions and voices, and I wouldn't necessarily compare him to Pee Wee Herman, but just I think he could kind of bring an alien to life. I feel like.
I don't think I could think of anybody else than Pee Wee Herman to do the voice of Max, because I feel that it's like cast-wise, it was complete. It was extremely well placed. They were extremely well placed, all the characters with the actors. And actually, it surprised me that Chris O'Donnell had auditioned for the part of David, and they even had Joaquin Phoenix on there. And I was like, no.
They didn't show his audition, but I mean, definitely Joey Kramer was far better than Chris O'Donnell at the time for what they showed. He did, I felt like a really good job. And this was his second movie, too, I want to say.
Yes.
But he only did a few other films after this. And if you watch the documentary, you'll learn a little bit more why.
Yeah. So you guys go watch it, at least the first part. The second part is more of Joe's life after, which wow, it was pretty hard for
not even life after. It's just his life story, which unfortunately did not have the greatest life. But yeah, if you can download, there's an app. It's like a free streaming service called Plex. Yes. And it's on there for free. So it's free to get the app. It's free to watch it. You just have to sit through a few commercials, but
so
it's definitely easy to check out.
I'm going to show the pictures that you sent me. I think you should be the one who should talk about this because
sure.
I have them here. I finally found out how.
Okay. So for a real long time at Disney Hollywood Studios, and formerly it was MGM Studios, they actually had two of the physical ships, and I think they just had two. They might have had more. But they had them on the backlot tour, their tram tour.
The red
so this
one,
is just
right?
one. Well, no, you can show the one that you had there.
Okay.
You can bring that back if you want.
Yeah.
So that's one of them. That's not both ships there. That's just one. You can kind of see, for a while they were in good condition, and then they definitely those items that they put on those backlot tours, it's a junkyard though. They don't really kind of keep them clean. And they actually had opened up the hatch. That hatch on the side was actually, they would put it on a big crane or boom, essentially, and that's how they would move it around. Or again, a good example of showing it is either like when they were on when they stopped and you had to go to the bathroom and all the cows were there and that's how it's floating, or like at Big Al's Gator Farm, they would have the arm. Yeah, the geeks. They would have the arm, in a way where you couldn't see it. The ship would block it. But that's what that hatch hole is right there. But yeah, there's some other ones, and I do know I showed you where they showed the two ships actually side by side.
Let me show that.
Sure.
Let's see here. So we got, let's see, number 55. What do we have here? There it is. Okay. Is it this one?
Yes. So unfortunately, I had to find a picture of a picture, but in that top left, you can see two of the ships there, and they're pretty identical. I'm just assuming one was probably for left side shots and one was probably for right, or even maybe one was for like head on or back end of it. And then the bottom left is somebody at some point on Google Earth had saved it, but you could actually see one of the ships still there on the back lot tour, and it was right next to one of the kind of like life ships, if you want to call it, from Jabba's palace, where when they were about to make everybody walk the plank into the Sarlacc pit, and then next to it is a speeder, a snow speeder from Empire Strikes Back. But they had taken one of those ships and they repurposed it, which the next group of photos that you show should be there. And I snapped these from a video from Adam the Woo that he did a few months ago about it. But they took one of the ships, they did body work to it, painted it, and made it look like a rocket ship style spaceship.
Yeah.
And they put it on top of a drink kiosk in Tomorrowland.
Which I think would have been bad.
Well, and that's still there. So the tram tour is gone. That actually went away because of the Toy Story Land and Star Wars Land expansion, so you can't do that anymore at Hollywood Studio. But if you go to Tomorrowland at the Magic Kingdom, and especially if you get onto the People Mover, you get a pretty good view of the ship because it goes around it. I can't remember, I don't know how well you can see it, but you can see the name of the train station. But from the back, you can still really see those concave lines, or convex, convex lines of the ship.
You can see that.
Where from the front, you really can't tell. And they really kind of, the body work that they did, where they added the windows and everything, you really changed the shape. But yeah, it's such a dead giveaway. So it's a little bit of a bummer that they, did that to that, kind of a classic thing. But it's at least nice to know that it's still around, and kind of cool if you ever get to go there that you can walk by something that was used in a movie. So.
And then there's one picture that you sent me, which is the last picture I'm going to show. I don't know, is this you? I mean, did you actually take this, or did somebody else take it? This one here. There's a figure.
Oh no!
Here.
That was I think I sent one of them to you double. That was in one of those group photos. That was just a picture of a picture that was the only thing I could find that actually showed both ships. I couldn't find it. I'm sure if I looked harder, maybe I could have found it. And then we have it somewhere. My wife and I, when we got married, our honeymoon, we went to Disney World, and we got to go on that tram tour. And I do have a picture somewhere of the ship that I took, but I didn't get a chance to dig that out and send you a scan of it. But yeah, that was just a duplicate there. So
okay.
I just thought that was kind of a neat fact that there is still a piece of movie history at Disney World that you can see, even though it's not identical anymore to it.
Yeah. Okay, so time is winding down for our show.
Yes.
This is a 1-hour show, people. So any final thoughts, Rick, about the movie?
It's just, to me, it's a classic movie that I love. And especially now being a parent, I love watching stuff like this with my son and getting to see him enjoy it. So, for me, my final thoughts are I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. And I would recommend anybody to watch it at least once.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how anybody could say that they hate the movie. It's just too much fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think as a storyteller, I think this is a piece of art. This is one work of art that was really well done. You got within the first 10 minutes of the whole movie, you have everything set out. You know who they are, what's going to happen. You get little details of things that you say. Well, like the first part is the frisbee. I asked a friend who said, "Well, let's watch it together." It's like this is going to be like my fourth or fifth time, but like, yeah, let's watch it together. And we got to see about 10 minutes of it. And I said, I stopped it at the frisbee and said, "Do you know what this is?" And she's like, "Hey, it's a UFO." And I'm like, they got it. They got it. So I think it's an extremely well done movie in storytelling wise. Characters, you have character arc from you have you start with one thing, and you definitely end with another. So I think it is a brilliant movie. I think it deserves a whole lot more attention that was given, and it will become a classic. Like you said, there are people who are going to continue to watch it with their kids.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I guess I'll even add to this too, because this is off topic, but one thing we didn't get into, but yeah, it's kind of shocking that there was just no merchandise for this movie. There was no toys made. There weren't like T-shirts. I don't think Disney ever made anything for it. I mean, other than like you can go on Etsy and find stuff people have made. And this too is like something I feel like I'm shocked that they never made a ride for this. This would have been such a fun ride to go on at the parks.
It's true. You don't see anything actually. No. So if Dan ever listens to this, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to get anything on Walmart or in Walmart. Sorry, any toys. Yeah. But I can crochet you a toy if you wish. But I can give you my prices afterwards. So, well, Mr. Spider-Man, thank you so much for making our stream so much better. We got a 10 out of 5 tacos thanks to your appearance, really.
Thank you, Spider-Man, for coming up and bringing me something to drink. And thank you, TD, for that.
Yeah, thanks, TD. You're always so supportive. I would like to invite you all to my weekly storytelling podcast every Thursday at 8:15. Just 45 minutes of pure traditional storytelling in which I make your imagination run wild. And I would love to hear your feedback on this, Rick, because you're probably the only one who I'm actually talking to who has been on my podcast, who has been there, but we're running out of time, so I think I'm gonna
definitely check it out on Thursday evening. It's a lot of fun. I always enjoy your storytelling, and it's
not spectacular. It's
no,
magical.
but it is magical. Well, and then you've got your intro too. I really like that.
Oh, thank you.
I'm waiting for you though to bring out crocheted characters and hold them up as you tell. That's what I'm waiting for.
Okay. Well, that could be a problem because it may distract you from the story and make you,
I guess that's just in my imagination. I'm always kind of waiting as you're talking for all of a sudden a little figure to come up and then another one. And
well, that would be a little bit even more difficult because I would be having I'd have to have a Spider-Man with me to hold up.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit way off like in South America way off. So I don't think I'm gonna have a Spider-Man around here. Okay.
Crochet
well,
one.
thank you. Oh yeah, I should crochet one. I got so many projects. I got a 3 Little Pig project. I gotta finish. I really want to do like Cara Dune. I got my Cara Dune there. I have my Lord of the Rings Aragon order that has been placed. So I got work on my hands. But just stay tuned. Go subscribe to go follow Rick on his Twitter channel over here. Yeah. Go follow Rick on his Twitter channel. Go follow me as the Geeky Crochet. I know it sounds weird, but I think it was a cool name because I am geeky and I do crochet. Yeah,
I was gonna say my Twitter handle though is backwards. It's IckyR2 the. So if you type in my name, that's how you have to find it.
Well, I find you always as R2.
Yeah, you can always do that.
So anyway, thank you so much for coming, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
We'll see you in 2 weeks because it's every 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay?
Oh, should we tell them what we're gonna do?
Yes. So it has been a little bit difficult to decide which one we're gonna do, but we're gonna honor the Mrs. R2 Icky, and we are going to review Surf Ninjas, the 90s film, in our next episode of After the Weekend. So I hope you guys tune in for that.
I'm looking forward to that one. That'll be good.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. Okay? Well, Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.